How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Next Success. I am Skylar Beitendorf.
And I'm Adam Bastian.
Today we're going to talk about first impressions and why they are important and how to make a good first impression. So I guess let's just go right into it. We're not starting with a quote or a poem today.
Or anything.
But we have a list of ways to how to make a good first impression. So let's talk about why it's important first. So Adam, why is a good first impression so important?
I think it sets the bar of who you are and what you're capable of and your level of confidence to another person. It's like in a job interview or anything like that. The way you present yourself, the things that you say, the way you look, all goes to what their decision will be at the end of it, or how they'll treat you as a start before actually knowing you. So I think you need to have a good first impression on people if they're going to like you, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, you got to have a good first impression for job interviews, for dating, for meeting your date's parents or their friends or whatever, because whatever your first impression is, they're going to remember that. And even when they see you the next couple times, they'll still remember the first impression. At least that's what I've been taught and I've found to be true is if you have a good first impression, I've learned that it takes about 10 bad impressions. I mean, it depends on how bad, but roughly it takes quite a number of bad impressions to erase that good one. And if you have a good first impression, if you have a bad first impression, it takes 10 good interactions to erase that bad one. So people remember that first impression really well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I remember my first impression of you. You were I remember looking at you. I was this tall, slender, really pristine looking dude. He looks like he's super successful and knows what he's doing. And I was it was kind of intimidating because I was honestly, I was I don't know if I could be friends with that dude. I was I don't know if I really yeah. I was I don't know if I like this dude. Just because I was he kind of looks like he might be full of himself. That was just by your looks.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that says about me. Because I was maybe I'm full of myself. And was yeah, this guy, he can't step on my ego.
Oh yeah, you're getting all ready for it.
Yeah. I was puffing up.
Right.
Yeah. And but it wasn't, that was my first impression just by your looks. And because I was just yeah, he looks like he knows everything and he might be a little prideful. Just because in my experience that's typically what I've seen from people that look like you.
I don't know what that means.
And
no, I
just just full of yourself, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was well, I didn't really talk to him. So then I actually started talking to you and I was he's actually pretty down to earth. And I was he's, he knows what he's talking about and he cares a lot. And he's had experience in his life. So he's not just full of himself and knows nothing. So it was good. But that was my first impression of you just by your looks and stuff. Because typically when I see people like that, I'm automatically turned away by it and turned off by it. That's just how I've always been because that's what I've experienced mostly, I think, in my life with people like that.
I don't know what it is about me exactly, but I've heard that before, that people say they just look at me and they're oh, this guy probably is way too cool for me, or people have I don't know, do I give off a kind of a douchebag impression just from my looks? I don't know what it is, but
I don't know. I think I wouldn't say you're a douchebag or nothing. I would just say you just look, I don't know.
I could be full of myself.
Yeah, you could be.
I take care of myself.
Or it's the attitude I don't care about anybody else because I'm the coolest guy here, It's I don't care about you because I know what I want. I know what I want, so I'm gonna do what I want, and you can screw off,
Yeah.
That's kind of what the look you give,
Sure.
at least when I first met you. But then I started talking to you, and just the little conversations I had completely changed. And I was like, okay, I was wrong. I was just being full of myself.
Yeah.
So not giving him a chance.
And I think, yeah, that's like important to, it's kind of like another way to say like first impressions. It's like judging, like you were judging me based off my looks. And I do that to everyone I see, you know,
Yeah.
if I see someone wearing a suit and they like take care of themselves, driving a nice car, I'm going to judge them a little bit. I'm going to think like, I'm just going to, make up assumptions
Mm-hmm.
about who they are and the lifestyle they live. And then if I see someone who's a homeless guy, who's dressed like a homeless guy, smells like a homeless guy, acts like one, um, I'm gonna have a totally different like first impression or judgment on them.
Right.
So it's like appearance is super important, or it's like a big part of first impressions. Because yeah, if you take care of yourself, you I don't know.
Well,
It's all
sometimes
about
sometimes our first impressions are wrong, like mine was about you.
right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And
It's
it's
like
like,
don't judge people too quickly. Like get to know them. And I'm glad you like didn't just tell me, okay, this guy's too much of this or that, full of himself. So
maybe.
I'm not gonna be friends with him.
Well, I mean, because I get that too. I've gotten that my whole life, just growing up. People are like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, you look like you don't care about anybody. You're just like full of yourself, and you just walk around with this confidence that no one likes."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Then we get to know you, and you're kind of an idiot."
No, yeah, that's a big thing I get too. Is like Skylar's kind of a goofball or
Yeah.
a dork. I'll get that. I'm like, yeah, I try to be authentic as much as I can, and I like to have fun. But my first impression of you, I feel like it was all good. Like it just seemed like you were just
Nice.
talking to everyone, friends with everybody. You always had a smile on your face. Um, so I feel like you give off a good first impression. Like
Nice. Times have
just
changed.
watching you, times have
Yeah, times have changed.
Yeah.
That is not usually what I get.
So we wrote a little list about like the different things that make a first impression. So we wrote out verbal, so like the way you speak and communicate, and then body language, like if you're always closed off or if you visualize somebody standing with their legs crossed, their arms folded, and their head down, and like kind of just looking up like with their eyes, you're gonna like get a different impression about them versus if they're standing with their weight on both feet, spread apart, hands hanging down, and their head held high. You'll get another impression. So that's body language, and then appearance would be like. Or do you want to talk about appearance?
Yeah.
So I'm not going through the whole list.
No, you're good. Appearance, I think, it's just all about how you dress, the way you put your hair up. Are you well groomed? Do you shave? Things like that. And if you do have a beard or facial hair, is it well kept?
Right.
Like, do you look clean? Do you look professional? Do you look like you have your stuff together? So if you look like you were saying earlier, if you look like a homeless man, the likelihood of you being treated like a homeless man is greater than if you don't look like a homeless man and you look like you.
If you look like Adam, then you'll be treated
I guess.
different.
Yeah, I got a long way to go. Cut this hair, man. But yeah, I think appearance is huge.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, it is like because appearance says nothing about who we are as individuals. But like, no matter what, people are gonna judge you based off of how you look. Like that's the first thing they'll see before they say hi to you. They're gonna see you, like right. They're gonna see what you look like. They're gonna see if, and they're gonna see like your hair, the way like the clothes you wear. Does he shave? Are his teeth like crooked and yellow? Is he a smoker?
crooked.
Or are they like straight and white? Like, and that's another thing is smiling. That's a big one. We'll talk more about that later.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I judged you solely based off of appearance.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have you do your hair and you got that hard part, and you do like a hard part and it's always like slicked, kind of like it's super nice. There's like not a hair out of place. At least when I first met you,
Yeah.
and I was like, wow, this man is well kept. I was like, I'm obviously not that well kept.
No, you
compared to I don't slick it to the side or anything, but like
yeah.
it's just all with my fingers. But
I joke with my friends that it takes me 2 hours to do my hair, when in reality it takes like 5 minutes.
really,
It seriously does. Um, so
yeah,
it's just I just found a way to do it that's easy and that it looks good.
mm-hmm.
Um, content. What does that mean?
Content.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So like
I'm struggling.
verbal, body language, appearance, and content. Like what you talk about as a first impression.
So like your heart,
Yeah.
in a way, your
Like
soul. I don't know.
like when I meet somebody, and this will be the way I'm dressed, my appearance, the body language, how I stand, and the way I move my body. Verbal, how I speak, but then it's what I speak. Um, am I talking about a book I read, or am I talking about people like negatively of other people, or am I gossiping,
Mm-hmm.
or things like that? I think that's another big one to a first impression. It's what do they talk about? What are they about? What do they like to do? I think that's a big one too on first impressions. So yeah, that's a list of like 4 things we wrote out. Let's go over exactly what people can do to create a good first impression. If that works for you, unless you have anything else you wanted to share about
No.
that.
I mean, I guess I have something to share about content.
Yeah.
Or just um just like speak good things, you know. If you're speaking, like you said, speaking poorly about other people, what is that going to show? You're going to attract, I think if you speak that way and you gossip and you speak about bad things all the time and just negative things all the time, you are going to attract negative people in your life. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
Because those people that are good, that are trying to succeed and like trying to excel and become greater than they were yesterday, their impression of you is going to be, I don't want to hang around this guy or this girl or whatever, pronouns or whatever.
Yeah.
But the guys, like, you're going to, like-minded people are going to come together. But if you speak about good things and you speak about being like better than you were, those same people are going to come to you. And the negative people are going to, I think, be bitter around you, but they won't be attracted to you.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I like that a lot. Yeah. Especially like when you think about what you talk about. So like if I'm talking to somebody and they're, having a conversation with them or hanging out with them for the night, and they start just talking trash about how life sucks, or gossiping about somebody, I won't hang out with them again.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they're there, great, but I'm not going to invest too much time into them because negativity is very draining. It's very heavy. I just don't want it, because I know I absorb what's ever around me, and I don't want to absorb any of that. So and I think there's a lot of people like that will notice. And when you gossip, it creates so much distrust. Like, as soon as you leave, they're not going to be talking about you next. But if you're constantly talking positive about other people and like, man, Adam's so cool and all this, it's like, okay, when the third person leaves, they know I'm not going to talk crap about them. They know I'm going to be like, yeah, so and so is like super cool, nice guy. So people, whatever you talk about with someone, they know they're going to talk about that when they're not with you.
Yeah.
So
I don't know about you, but that makes me kind of like a sad night, I guess. It makes me so aggravated when I know they're going to be talking bad about me when I leave, because I know they don't like me
right.
for whatever reason. Oh, it's just so aggravating, and I hate it.
Right, yeah.
It's like never feels good. You leave and you're like, oh, they're probably talking garbage.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to talk negative about other people.
Oh,
So it's
super.
like, do the hard thing, like talk positively, talk about ideas and things you want to achieve in life and goals. Because that honestly, when I switch the conversations to that, they get interesting. People are like, oh yeah, this is what's going on in my life. This is what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure to go this way or that way. Like they get so much deeper because they're talking about themselves and where they're going versus other people and what they're doing wrong. Air quotes.
And I guess if they do want to talk bad about you, bad air quotes, about you after you leave, the only things they'll have to talk about are your goals.
Right. That's true.
They're like, I can't believe he's actually trying to be great, you know?
They're doing a podcast. I wonder what people say about us.
They're like,
Yeah. I wonder, but I don't care.
yeah, I
If
can
that makes
only
sense.
imagine.
Yeah.
Can only imagine.
They
Like,
think
these
they
guys
can-
suck.
But and that's another thing is like not making up stories about what other people are saying about us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, can't do that because then it's just our own negative self-talk. That's also super important. Yeah, I like that. Oh, and another thing, I thought about this earlier, but like when you talk about, you know, your goals and stuff, a lot of times you can relate to someone else. And
Oh, yeah.
when like have you ever met someone for the first time and they have something that like one of their interests is one of yours, and you just instantly can have an awesome conversation about it and you connect really quickly because like we both like guns or we both like books.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when you talk about those things and you can relate to someone, I think that's a great way to make a first impression. If you find something in common, because then be like, oh, he's like me. And because people like people who are like themselves. So find common ground. I think that'll make us rock solid
Yeah.
for a good first impression.
Yeah. If you talk to people like you're interested in them and you
Mhm.
actually are interested in them, they can tell.
Oh yeah.
And then you find something they're interested in and then you know it too. You just feed off of it and build off of that. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah,
So,
that's true. Like Tony Robbins, he said this in one of his podcasts or videos I was listening to. He's like, people like people who are like themselves, and people don't like people who are not like themselves, obviously. But and he explained, he's like, if you think about anybody you like, it's because they are like you or they are like how you want to be. And if you think about anybody you don't like, they are not like you and they are not like how you want to be. So if you're just constantly being the best you can be, like be authentic, but if you're being the best you, I think you'll attract a lot of people because it'll be like, man, I want to be as authentic as this person. I want to be as successful as them in their relationships and their business and, you know, their physical health. So you don't necessarily always need to be exactly like the person, but it's like if you're like how like someone wants to be, I think that creates a lot of respect too. So it's like,
yeah.
oh, I want to do that too.
Well, so I work for the Department of Corrections here in Utah, and I work at the prison in Draper. And I started just like a year and a half ago, just about a year ago or so. And my first impression of that department when I started working in the prison was it was garbage. It was so bad. Because my sergeants that were training me just like didn't care. Like I showed up to work and the sergeant said, he basically said, when you're here and when you're learning, you sit down, you shut up, and then you watch and you just try and work. And I was like, what does that mean? He's like, don't ask questions, just watch and try to do it. And I was like, that's so dumb. And then I got yelled at for I would show up like early, like 8 minutes early to work. And he said, you need to come in 15, 20 minutes early to work every day because you don't know what that last shift went through for 12 hours. And so I got yelled at, and I was like, I don't understand. I was like, my relief never comes up. They always come up 5 minutes before my shift ends. I was like, and I have to come up 20 minutes before? And my sergeant was like, he was a super angry guy. And my first impression of him was like, dude, he's horrible. Because he just was unhappy. You could tell. Like he was not animated. He made fun of people. He made fun of me. And he yelled at me for stupid things that made no sense. And I was like, well, I'm going to quit. I was like, this is horrible. Why would I stay at a job that treats me like garbage? You know what I mean? And, but I stuck it out and I was like, well, it can't be. I was like, that's just one sergeant. And I was like, that can't be the whole department. And I stuck it out a little longer and it got better. Well, and then I saw this sergeant, he switched from max security where he was working to over on a different side of the prison as a different role. And I worked over there for a month. It was in the women's side, and he was like he just like managed all the movements and stuff outside the buildings. So if like the inmates had to go to go to work at culinary, or they had to go to work at commissary, or whatever. He would manage that and watch them outside and make sure they weren't going where they weren't supposed to go. And but his attitude was completely different, and he was a happy guy. He was a joy to be around. He joked around with me. He actually cared about me, and it was interesting. But my first impression of him was like he was this horrible person, but I think I just caught him at a horrible time. But because I didn't dwell on it, I think I was able to look at him in a different light when he was somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But it greatly affected me having that horrible first impression, because I almost quit and did something else, which this job has provided me a lot of experience in areas I never would have thought, but I would have never had it all if I just based that off of a sour first impression and judged this guy off of a sucky situation he was in his life. Mm-hmm. But
that kind of reminds me of so kind of the opposite happened to me so I used to work at a car dealership, and when I first went there for an interview, like they hired me, so I went and met all the other managers. I went and met with one of the sales managers. He just was like super cool guy, just was happy. He was like, yeah, what's going on? Yeah, we do these things. It's a great place to work. We like pay our employees so well. I was like, awesome, love all that. Great first impression. And then the next time I met him, or the next couple times I met him, they were all good, but then there was 2 or 3 other times where, because I like switched departments in there, or like, yeah, roles, and I was in like their little meeting, and he was he was yelling at all the employees, like, I don't know. And I have a hard time with people yelling and like raising their voice and getting angry, because like I grew up with that. Like my dad would yell at me a lot, and so when someone else does that, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I feel like yelling is just weakness. Like if you can't control your emotions. Anyways, point is, he basically yelled at us, me and all the other staff, like 2 or 3 times. And by that third time, I was like, it didn't matter. All those good first impressions, like
they were gone.
I just kind of thought he was like, yeah, they were erased because they were so intense. He was yelling at us so intensely. And then I was like, well, I'm not working for somebody that acts like that.
Yeah.
Can't control their emotions. Like I feel like that's something we teach our kids. Like kids get taught at a young age. It's like, you can't figure that out. I'm out. So anyways, walked out the door, and never went back in.
Nice.
And I do not think that was a wrong thing to do. Like
Yeah.
usually it's like putting your 2 weeks, but like you're going to be that way, and treat people like they're lower than you and just like they're doing a terrible job. Because I was new, and they weren't really mentoring me on what to do.
Right.
And I was getting yelled at for what I like. You don't yell at a kid for touching the stove if they've never touched it before.
Well, that was my experience with my job.
Yeah.
I was getting yelled at for things I knew nothing about.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was horrible.
So
like, how quickly is it to ruin a good impression like that?
Yeah.
Versus how much harder is it to repair a reputation from a bad impression?
Right. Because you would have to do a lot. There'd need to be a lot of good impressions to erase that bad one.
Well, and that's what happened. It took over a year, and I would see this guy all the time, and I was just like, oh, there he is.
Right.
And he's just like, what's up, man? And I was like, you know.
You just don't want to talk to him.
Yeah, and then, but, eventually over time, he was, I don't know, it changed, but it took a long time.
Yeah, because I said earlier that it takes 10 good impressions to erase a bad, and the opposite for good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's true, but also that can be less if depends on how intense they are.
Yeah,
it's like with that, it only took like 3 bad impressions of him yelling at me to erase the good one. So I think it depends on how bad those are. So
anyway, kind of a tangent, but
yeah, little tangent, but that's like a true story about our experiences and first impressions with other people. So hope you guys got value out of that. Okay, so let's go down this list we got on how to make a good first impression. So if you're someone that wants to have a good first impression on a first date, job interview, meeting parents, new friend groups, anything, you're trying to like maybe a client or something, here are some things you can do to have a great first impression. So number one is make eye contact, which I feel like is kind of common sense, but common sense isn't so common anymore. So we're gonna talk about it.
It's a superpower.
It's a superpower. But let's also I know I've known people because okay, so eye contact is important, but like, too much eye contact is too intense, and it makes me want to not look at people. Like I know this person, I won't say their name, but I don't see him anymore. But anytime I would be around them, they would just lock eyes and they would not blink and they just smile and be like, "How you doing? Oh, good." And like they're a super nice person, and other people said this too. It wasn't just me, but they would just like their eyes would not blink. They would not look away to give a little rest.
Like stare into your soul.
Uh-huh. So here's a way if you want to make eye contact with people, whoever it is you want to have a good first impression with, and here's something you can do to make sure you're not holding eye contact too long or too short. When you look at them, kind of count in the back of your head before they look away. So let's say you guys are looking at each other. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then they look away at something else and have that little rest, and then look back at you. That's how comfortable they are holding eye contact with you before it starts to feel uncomfortable. So don't hold eye contact with them past that 5 seconds because it'll start to just like eye contact is very intense. And like it's literally only 5 seconds before someone looks away. Like, have you noticed that? Like people do that. They're talking, but then there's just this little rest where they just look away or they just look at something behind them. Or is that just me? I mean, I notice that stuff.
No, I agree. I mean, what helps with that with me is you just when you talk, just be animated.
Yeah.
Like if you're like a really like uninteresting person to talk to, and you're just like, your arms are down by your side, and you're just looking.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like it's gonna look weird if you just look off to the side.
All right.
But if you're animated and you use your hands and you're generally interested in what you're talking about, it makes no difference whether you look at them or not.
Yeah.
Like you need to look at them, but when you look away, it won't be that weird.
Right.
Yeah.
And so like maintaining eye contact, it also communicates to them that you care and that you're paying attention to what they're saying and what they're doing. So I think that's the power in it, is it shows you care. Because if someone's talking to you and they're just looking away, they're checking their phone, they're looking at the watch, those are all nonverbal ways to communicate that they don't care. So be like 100% focused, but like don't be too intense. But it shows that you care.
Mm-hmm.
So number 2, you want to take that?
Number 2 is smile. Just
another thing
just
that's
be
like
happy.
common sense. Yeah, but like
it's like when you smile, like it shows people that you're happy and you love life and you love what you're talking about. But if you're frowning and you don't smile, it like you said earlier, like it's heavy. Like negativity is heavy.
Yeah.
And if you're unhappy, people can tell. Your tone changes, your body language changes, your eye contact is almost not there at all. And it gets super heavy. And it's not very fun to talk to you. And it's hard to carry on a conversation with someone who doesn't care.
Right.
And but if you smile, you can tell a difference. Like even on the phone, I heard like during phone interviews and stuff, like you can tell if someone's smiling over the phone.
Isn't that wild?
It's super wild. And it's
true.
Like it's night and day difference. So smile, be happy, show your teeth, your pearly whites. If you don't have pearly whites, just get pearly whites.
Yeah.
Start brushing your teeth and I don't know.
Brush your teeth.
Yeah, I don't know.
Floss, brush your teeth, floss, and whitening strips. They're like $50, and like I used them, and after I bought them, I used a couple, and then I was like, these don't work. And I was like, I think it was like a month later, I was like, freak, I bought these, I'm just gonna use them. So I just started using them every day, and then I started getting compliments all the time from people. They were like, man, your teeth are so white. How'd you do it? I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that they were working, because it's such a slow thing, but it's a little thing. But like having white teeth, it's like people notice it. It looks nice.
And smiles are contagious too.
They are, yeah.
So you smile, 100%. Someone else will smile. So
I still think it's crazy how you can hear a smile. You know,
No,
we
straight
we
up.
can hear smiles over the phone, or like if someone's talking behind you, you can hear if they're smiling or if they're very serious.
Mm-hmm.
It's so cool. But yeah, I think smiles, yeah, like you said, it's contagious. It really lightens the mood, or like because negativity is heavy, and when you smile, it's just like it's so easy to be around somebody who's positive and who's smiling and who's laughing,
It's true.
and then also you're much more approachable when you're smiling. Like no, someone's not going to come up to you with your arms folded and you're just like have this RBF face, you know, on you. But if you're smiling, teeth or not teeth, people are gonna be like, oh, they're happy. I want to approach them because I know it's gonna be a light, fun interaction with them. So smile, smiling is super important.
All right, number 3.
All right, dress for the occasion. So if you're going to worship, if you're going to church, uh, don't dress in homeless clothes.
Yeah, know your audience.
Know your audience. Yeah. So I mean, we kind of touched on this a little earlier, but um, dressing nice with clothes that aren't stained, don't have holes in them, that fit you properly, um, they do go a long way because people are like, oh, they care about themselves. They invest into themselves. And like, I don't know, people that don't invest into themselves on some level, I don't feel like they're going to, like, so I heard the other day someone was talking about like they'd rather have a accountant who is jacked or just in shape versus an accountant who's overweight. Both have nothing to do with accounting and money or anything, but it's like it's wanting someone who strives for excellence in every area of their life to handle their finance
Mm-hmm.
because they care about themselves and their body, and they want that kind of person in their life. So um, that's kind of what it is with, I think, dressing. It's like it communicates to other people that like I value myself, I care about myself, I I don't, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, we touched on it earlier, but dress appropriately. You know, if you're going to a reception, you'll dress one way. Worship, you'll dress one way. Meeting friends for the first time, dress one way. You're going to
Yeah,
dinner.
I would say also be you though.
Yeah,
Like
right.
be you.
Hmm.
Dress the way you would like to dress, but know your audience. So if you're trying to appease a certain type of people, dress that way. But nothing's more I don't think anything's we haven't I don't we'll probably talk about it in a little bit, but nothing's nothing's more important than being confident in your own skin.
Yeah,
So be you and just love it, man. Like I don't know. I was
absolutely.
just thinking like dress for the occasion. But the past couple days, I've really wanted to just like. So I play the banjo,
Yeah,
and I want to go and just wear overalls, and that's it, and show up to some event with a banjo and just overalls,
that'd be dope.
and just where you can play my little heart out.
Yeah.
And I just think it would be funny. I don't know why I
Yeah.
was thinking about that. It's kind of besides the point, but I
No,
just think
yeah.
like just straight butt naked, maybe not butt naked, but
Just in overalls.
in overalls with a
Yeah.
banjo, it'd be pretty funny. But yeah,
Um,
just be you.
yeah. But like, and it's okay to go outside of the box a little bit
Yeah.
on dressing for the occasion. Because like, if you wear something that's very loud, that's not normally you, or maybe isn't what everyone else is wearing, it's like that will make you stand out more, which is sometimes a good thing, you know.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, also have fun with it, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I almost bought a turtleneck the other day.
Oof.
Why?
No, just kidding.
Why? I don't know.
No,
Like
those can look really good.
I picked it up and I was like, man, I should buy this turtleneck.
Yeah.
And I put it back. And
Did you
but
try it on?
no, I should have.
You should just try it on, see how you feel in it.
Yeah. I almost bought it because I was like, you never know when this will come in handy.
Right.
Never know when you need a turtleneck, you know?
Turtlenecks can look good. They can also look really bad, but it just depends on what kind. Does it fit you properly? All these little things.
Can show up to like a book club with a turtleneck or something.
Yeah.
Dye my hair black.
I've definitely have worn clothes that like aren't me, and I don't feel good in it, and that impacts my first impression because I'm just like thinking I look like
You're
trash in this. It doesn't
self-conscious.
fit me. Yeah, I become a little self-conscious, which is like a me thing, like getting over that. But yeah, wear something that you feel good in.
Oh, here's the next one. 4, be authentic, which
Be
is
authentic.
what I just said. Just be you.
Mm-hmm. Because that's the most important thing. Because if you think about confidence, it's basically just being authentic, like being the true you. Because I've been around, I've worked with people. After I worked for the dealership, I worked for this guy, awesome dude. We hired another dude, and me and him were working together, and I could tell he was just putting on a face and trying to like act really confident. But you can tell when someone's like kind of insecure about it, like
Hmm.
they're being loud because to like take the attention off of they don't feel super good. And maybe that's me judging him. I'll admit that, but I could tell there was this authenticity that just wasn't quite there with him, and it made me feel really uncomfortable and weird. Um, but like being authentic and being confident, they're similar. But I feel like being authentic is being true to who you are and not trying to be confident in the way that someone else is confident.
Well, I think it brings confidence.
It
So if
does.
you are who you are and you're not pretending, the confidence quickly follows.
Hmm.
And people notice that and they want to be around you. And then good things follow.
Yeah. Yeah. People can they pick up on the BS.
Yeah.
So if you're having a first impression with somebody, meeting someone for the first time, they're gonna tell. They'll just pick it up if you're being real or not. You know. And something I've is this okay? That's actually the next one. Okay. Anything else on this? Be authentic.
No.
Oh, okay. I'll say one
Just
more
like
thing.
Zac Efron once said, be your size. Be you.
Be you. Yeah. Like anytime I'm in a situation, I'm like, oh man, I need to be more confident. If I switch it from telling myself to be confident to being authentic, I can. For me, I don't know if this will work for everyone, but for me, I personally like it just snaps me into this like being exactly who I am and not trying to be confident. It's just I don't know. That's something I do.
Yeah.
So next is be a good communicator, and I forgot what I was gonna say earlier. Dang it. um. Oh shoot. Be authentic. Be a communicator. Okay. Anyways, so be a good communicator. Speak clearly. Don't have like a sucker in your mouth when you're talking to someone for the first time. Don't like be. I don't know. Like, speak with power. Speak clearly, and don't talk too much. Like, let someone else speak a little bit. Let them get their word in and make them feel heard.
Yeah. While I was serving my mission in Idaho, there was something in part of the little book we have with like our lessons and just how to be a teacher and how to be a better teacher or whatever. One of the subsections in there was like talk to people, but I changed it to talk with people because
Mm,
I was like I don't want to just talk to people because then
yeah,
it's kind of one-sided. But if I'm talking with people, we're both talking, we're both communicating, and we're both getting across things we want to talk about. So I think that's important. Like being a good communicator, you're not talking to people, you're talking with people. People are included. You're not doing it alone. You're doing it together.
I like that a lot. Talk with people. Someone talked explained it to me was it's like playing tennis. You'll pass them the ball.
Dude, I love tennis.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, let them say their thing, they'll pass it back, and then you say your thing, and you'll pass it back. So it's like, but only one person can talk at a time. Because like, do you like being interrupted?
No.
No one likes being interrupted. Like that. When you interrupt somebody, it really like it's frustrating because like you have this thought you're trying to get out, and someone's like, oh, and then this and this and this. Um, it's frustrating. No one likes it. Like if you're constantly the person that's interrupting other people and not taking that time to listen to their ideas and what they're saying, um, I think that kind of turns people off to speaking with you.
Yeah, let other people talk.
Yeah, let them finish their
Mhm.
thought. Something that I was taught is when you are speaking, and I'm not great at this. I'm still like working on applying this, but when we talk, and because like this is how to get people to stop interrupting you. But like when we speak, a lot of times when we're talking, we end with it down. We're like, so how are you doing today? Or today I was going over to the store, and then like a lot of times it's with it down. I'm probably not doing the
Mm-hmm.
best job of explaining this,
No,
but
I get it. I get it. Yeah.
but when we speak going up, it's like today I went to the store, and then I bought a scooter, and then it communicates that there's more coming, so don't interrupt me. But when we talk down, it's like kind of like an ending
Right.
to a sentence. So like and the times where I have been conscious about that and I do that, I'm like, oh, so today we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna go over here, and then we're gonna go, people don't interrupt me when I do that. So that's another fun little
I
tool
thi-
to practice.
yeah,
If you,
I think people don't interrupt because it's interesting.
yeah,
Everybody loves a good story.
right,
And I've noticed that about myself. I share stories here, but not really as much as I do outside. But in normal conversations, like I've shared stories like I don't know, I've had people come up to me and they're like Adam, you need to share. You should tell me a story. And I'm like, I don't just I get kind of awkward because I'm like I don't like sharing them when someone's demanded me to share a story.
yeah,
But I'll share one when I want to. Like you've seen me tell stories,
yeah.
you know?
Adam's a great storyteller, and that's not just me saying that. Like other people say that all the time. Like Adam's really good at telling stories, and it's like very engaging, and people want to listen, and they're waiting for the next part, the next
Yeah.
punchline.
And I feel like over a podcast, it's a little harder for me because I like getting really animated with my stories.
Yeah,
Like I'll lay on the floor, I'll jump around, like
yeah.
like I act it out because that's how the story is, and I don't, you know.
I think that's what, and yeah, that's a big thing that makes you a good storyteller. Like he was telling a story yesterday about rabbits and like driving down the road and how they would like jump in the middle of the road at the last second, but he was acting out what the rabbit was doing, and it was very funny and engaging, and
I was like
yeah,
squatting. I was like, yeah, just like a rabbit would. It was
yeah.
funny.
But yeah, a little bit of a tangent there, but yeah, be a
Well,
good communicator.
well, it just goes to what you're talking about,
Oh yeah, yeah,
like I mean, kind of a tangent, but just be interested in what you're talking about,
yeah.
and people will listen.
Mm-hmm.
So
It's true. I remembered what I was gonna say earlier.
send it.
People will recognize when like you know how when we talk to kids. Okay, wait, I'll finish that. People recognize when we're speaking in our regular voice or when we're changing it to who we're talking to. So like when we talk to kids all the time, it's like, "Hey, oh, you're so cute. How are you?" You know, we kind of change the tone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
People will recognize when we speak like differently than we would if it was just like a sibling or something. Like, for example, if I was meeting someone for this time, I'd be like, "Hey, how you doing? Oh my gosh, today's been great. How's your day going?" But people recognize if I'm smiling and saying just like, "Hey, how you doing? How's your day going?" People will kind of like, it's like just speaking your normal voice has been proven to create a lot of trust, especially over the phone. Like smile, but don't like elevate your voice too much.
It's the retail voice.
Yeah, yeah, that's what it is. It's like the salesman retail voice. Like it feels a little fake sometimes, and it's not necessarily bad to do. But like it has been proven to create a lot of trust when you speak with your normal voice that you speak to the people that you interact with every day, because then they feel like I think they just feel like they are somewhat like you're closer. Like it's not a first time impression. It's like I've known you for a long time. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's comfortable.
Yeah. So okay. Be a good communicator. Next is use positive body language. So we've spoken about that a little bit, but like, what does that mean? Positive versus negative body language.
Just be engaged. Like
Yeah.
like like I guess when I tell stories, for example, like I act it out and stuff like a lot of times, and I use my arms and I emphasize with my hands, and I think that just like it's just like I'm speaking without words. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Totally. Only 7% of communication is verbal. The rest is body language and tone.
7%.
Because it's not like everyone's heard. It's not what you say; it's how you say it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not what you say; it's how you say it. That's much more intense, right?
Dago.
It's not what you say; it's how you say it.
Uh huh.
Those all said something a little differently because of the tone in my voice. But body language is the biggest portion of that. I think it's like 60 or like almost like 70% of communication. Verbal is 7. So that means the rest. I'm not going to do that in my head. I'm not great at doing math in my head. But the rest of it is the tone,
Uh-huh.
the body language. Like, let's just talk about being approachable for a second. If your hands are in your pockets or folded, or you're sitting down with your legs crossed, what does that communicate?
You want to be alone.
Yeah, you want to be alone. You're like closed.
Mm-hmm.
It's
You're
like
closed off.
because if you think about it, you're protecting yourself. You're protecting your gut, like the most vulnerable part of your body, where the
Right.
rib cage isn't at. It's like a vulnerable part. This is where our organs are. So it's kind of like protecting. We're not really closed or open, and it kind of communicates that we're not really confident about where we are. So having it being more open and not covering your torso communicates that we're calm. We feel comfortable in the room. Like we feel safe. When you feel safe, people also feel safe around you. People pick that up. But it's a lot easier to approach somebody when they, are relaxed and they're sitting back on the couch and they're like, "Hey, how you doing?" If you're watching this, you can see our nonverbals. Yeah. So, yeah, that's like, it's like when you tell stories and you're animated, it's very engaging, and it makes what you're saying just so much more interesting because we can hear what you're saying, but then we can see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So that's another way to make a good first impression is, "Hey, how are you?" Okay, if you are listening to this, that's awesome. I think you'll get way more out of it if you do watch this one, because we are talking a lot about body language. Yeah. So like, do you shake someone's hand on a first impression?
It depends.
Like when you
I
meet them?
I will say I am not like a super touchy-feely dude.
Yeah.
My family is not like that at all. Like, I would say I'm more so than my family, than my siblings, but I'm not used to it because I would go and like hug someone and like I still get like the one pat hug from my dad and brothers, just like
Oh yeah, like the bro.
yeah, like the
hug.
bro, like good to see you, where it's like
Right.
or like, and so I'm not like super touchy feely, but this is something I need to get better at. Is like handshakes and like greetings and goodbyes with like a handshake or like a hug or a high five or like a fist bump,
Yeah,
But because it goes a long way, like physical contact,
it does.
like really elevates a relationship, friendships, romantic, anything. Like it really elevates it. If that's gone, if there's no physical touch, the relationship kind of dwindles, I think, at least for me.
Right.
And even though I'm really bad at it, I really enjoy it. But so
Yeah.
it's something I need to work on. Just as you talk about it, I'm like, man.
Same. And I feel like it's become more normal to not hug or to shake someone's hand because like everyone's like, COVID. Oh, we can't people have kind of
Coronavirus?
Corona. Yeah, people have gotten used to not doing that and like out of the habit of hugging or shaking someone's hand. So if you're sick, don't shake someone's hand or hug them. Like any kind of sickness, right? If it's contagious. But like if you're not, freaking show some love. Like hug them. So one of our listeners, good friend, his name's Baruch. He's probably watching right now.
Baruch, let's go.
He every time I see him and he sees anybody, he hugs them every single time. Like it's expected. Like it's what happens when you see Baruch. He smiles, he hugs you, and it makes everyone that hugs him, they smile, they feel good, they feel loved because there was physical contact there. There was that like body language of I care about that. That's what a hug says. That's what the language is. It's like, hey, I love and care about you. How you doing? So it's like I don't think I've ever been upset when somebody came up and gave me a hug. Someone did that at church a couple weeks ago. Like one of our friends that we interact with, he just gave me a hug. I don't think we had ever hugged before. I was like, that was cool. And I have a goal to hug more people and like hug one person a day. That's like if I think about it, like I usually don't hug at least one person a day.
I'm
like,
lucky if I get one a week.
Right, exactly. And your girlfriend, your mom doesn't count. We're talking about just like hugging people that you interact with.
Your dog
Maybe start, yeah,
doesn't
your
count.
dog, but like hugging people, it creates a ton of connection, and it says that you care. It's like it's a really great, I don't know, way to like. Have you ever met someone for the first time and they hug you?
Yeah,
How's that feel?
feels good. Like
It's not weird.
I used to date this girl in high school, and like really good friends with her mom still to this day and stuff. But I was meeting. They were very like physical oriented. I guess they would hug me all the time.
Yeah.
They would, I didn't realize how much I enjoyed it, but now I don't have it, so it's like, you know. But I was like going to meet for some. I can't really remember why, but I was going to meet this girl's grandma, and I was in the car with this girl's mom, and she's like, Adam, I'll give you $10 if you hug and kiss my mom. And I was like, what?
$10.
And she's like, you won't. And I was struggling. I was like, I will, all right. And I didn't kiss her, but I hugged her. She was
Yeah.
like, wow. She's like, but it went a long way with the grandma and grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
Shook the grandpa's hand and stuff. But anyway, went a long way.
Yeah.
All because of like, instead of being like, hey, I'm Adam, dating your granddaughter,
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It
confidence.
goes a long way. People remember that. Like I don't remember the times I interacted with that guy, like just saying, "Hey, how's it going?" Like I don't remember everyone, but I specifically remember when he hugged me because there's a touch. There's like
Mhm.
there's something it just creates more connection and trust and yeah. Hug more people.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I don't think I've ever hugged Adam, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah, I was thinking about that right now.
I'm like,
Maybe we should hug afterward.
we'll hug after.
Nice and long.
Okay. Do we want to anything else? We're kind of
Yeah.
this is gonna be a little longer episode, is what
Yeah.
it's looking like.
Not what we were planning on, but
Sometimes it's okay
it
though.
was good.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to touch on or kind of reiterate?
I'm just reading like the other things on the list that we're gonna talk about. We either have touched on them, or I don't feel like they're quite as important.
I agree.
Like one is like be empathetic, pay attention to the emotional well-being of the person that you're talking to. Some like there's definitely people I've interacted for the first time and they're not having a good day, and I can tell. And I don't need to be fake and just do the normal small talk. It's like be real. If someone isn't doing good,
Like, it's okay to
call
bring.
them out and
Yeah,
be like, "Hey, what's going on?"
you can bring it up.
Yeah, and I think when we do that and we're like real, people really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Where it's like, "Oh, thank you for not making me do the normal. Hey, how you doing? Where do you work? What color's your toothbrush?" And all that
Mm-hmm.
bull crap that happens every day. Like you're talking about real stuff. What's really happening?
Yeah,
So,
like stop pretending like everything's okay and
yeah,
act like it's not because it is
I think
not okay.
yeah, and I think what it's basically saying is like listen to what their nonverbals are saying, what their tone of voice is saying, and just being aware of people and the energy they're putting off. Like I've walked into rooms where people were just barely having an argument and they're not yelling anymore, but you can feel it.
Oh, it's a heavy environment. You can cut it with a knife, dude.
Yeah. And it's kind of like a muscle, but the more you pay attention, like the next person you meet, just be like, okay, what's their energy? What's
Mm.
happening? What are you feeling right now? Interacting with this person, you can pick up on that more and more as you pay attention and you're conscious of it. So
Yeah, these all come with practice.
yes.
So, but it starts with you with like asking yourself prior to going into a situation, like, how am I going to act? What am I looking for? Do I actually care? And as you ask yourself these questions, you're kind of preparing your mind for it, for the situation. So then when you get in the situation, you're that much more equipped to care. And other people are going to enjoy being around you, and you're going to make a really good first impression. So it starts with
Absolutely.
you, ends with other people, and then the rewards come.
Love it.
Well, thanks for joining us today. I hope you guys got something out of this. I did.
Yeah,
I
I did
realized I need
too.
to hug Skylar more often.
Yep.
So we're gonna end this with a hug probably after this. We stop this recording.
We'll do
But
it.
follow us on social medias, Instagram, Facebook.
Share it if you liked it.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah,
And we'll go from there. Well, we'll see you guys later.
see ya.